Hello! Welcome to A9AYTZ2HD1, the best among the best. My name is Julie and I will be your instructor as we read through Dirty Daring in New Zealand essay. The article's source is embedded in the video description below. Feel free to read along. Please note that you can get a custom, plagiarism-free essay for as little as $10 a page at A9AYTZ2HD1. The link is in the description. The dairy farming industry causes a negative effect on New Zealand waterways. That is fact. The country is home to approximately 6 million cows which produce the equivalent amount of feces as 70 million people. The effluents and fertilizers from farms can then drain through the soil and contaminate groundwater or can run off into local waterway, which significantly increases the nitrogen levels and decreases pH levels in the water, affecting the natural environment of the waterway. Should these pollutants enter waterways, the environment is encouraging for algae and algal blooms which have an invasive property and have the ability to quickly take over the waterway. Should the above scenario occur, there would be a very evident decrease of fish life in the water as the algae unregistered trademark S consume large amounts of oxygen, therefore deoxygenizing the water, making it near impossible for fish to survive. Some forms of algal blooms can fatal and can affect livestock, wildlife, marine animals and humans. Another waterway issue that is aggravated by dairy farming is riparian erosion, which is the erosion from the banks of waterways. The issue arises when cows are allowed to graze or move near waterways. The cow's hooves effectively destroy waterways' natural banks, which has the potential to alter the flow of water, which can negatively affect fish life downstream. The other issue caused by cows trampling through waterways is that the cows push soil into the water, which can deprive organisms, such as plankton, in the water from light, which could destroy a waterway's food cycle. Yet another waterway issue that is linked to dairy farming is when fertilizers and effluent runs off into waterways. There is a possibility that there are water catchments on the same waterway. Especially on rural properties, water is normally collected from local waterways which could in fact be contaminated by farm waste runoff. People that drink contaminated water can suffer from gastroenteritis, skin tumors, E. coli, skin rashes, swollen lips and in severe cases, death. The WWF research has concluded that 43% of monitored New Zealand lakes are classed as polluted, which is directly linked to the endangerment of freshwater crayfish, mussels and 60% of New Zealand native fish species. The pollution in these waterways has caused on average 25,000 waterborne disease cases annually. This study also found that 90% of New Zealand waterways were unsafe to swim in, let alone be drunk from. It is possible that these statistics are the consequence of dirty dairying unregistered trademark. Did you know, over the last 5 years, cow numbers have increased by 1 million. And of the 7 million cows in New Zealand, they produce the equivalent of manure as 70 million people. The Fonterra perspective. Fonterra is an international dairy company who supplies New Zealand dairy products to global consumers and makes an annual profit of $459 million. Fonterra has a large bias in the issue of dairy farming and the pollution of waterways and have created a dedicated website promoting the pollution reduction initiatives that have been put in place by the company. The website shows off unregistered trademark what Fonterra has done in a bid to decrease water pollution and displays statistics on what the initiative has achieved, however excludes the data about the farms that are not environmentally friendly and the damage that they cause to New Zealand waterways. Unfortunately, the company will never put the environment before profit. The shareholders of the company demanded to perform financially. Even ethical investors want return on their investment. And if Fonterra did put more emphasis on the environment at the expense of profit, the shareholders would vote to change the CEO of the company. Fonterra has introduced several initiatives in order to combat the issue of dairy waterway pollution. The company has made it a requirement that farmers that supply them keep their stock away from waterways and have sent advisors to all suppliers to make sure that all waterways larger than 1 meter wide are fenced off. Fonterra state that they are committed to keeping dairy farming environmentally friendly so they can work alongside natural habitats and ecosystems of healthy living water. The Living Water unregistered trademark website states that Fonterra recognizes that quality water from natural habitats underpins New Zealand unregistered trademark is environmental health and economic prosperity. and they are committed to preventing dairy farms contaminating waterways. Fonterra claims that they are investing $20 million over a 10-year period, which is to be used to clean up New Zealand waterways that are under threat in partnership with the Department of Conservation. By investing in this campaign, it allows Fonterra to perpetuate its clean green milk image, allowing the company to request a higher price for the dairy products. This campaign is also to the advantage of the Department of Conservation, as they receive funding from Fonterra so they can clean up the affected waterways. It seems that Fonterra is admitting that waste from dairy farms are the cause of waterway pollution, and the company is taking steps to improve the water quality of the affected waterways. Fonterra does not quote very much biological information, but instead promotes what Fonterra is doing to solve the problem. Safe Perspective. The organization Safe Unregistered Trademark believes that the dairy industry has an ongoing problem of non-compliance with environmental regulations. The organization even goes on to accuse most farmers of allowing animal excrement to pollute the waterways. In their online statement of the issue, Safe notes dairy farms' use of agrochemicals such as fertilizer and pesticides, and how these chemicals can contaminate groundwater and flow down to waterways where the pollution could cause the death of microorganisms and fish life. The website also states several major waterways in New Zealand that are affected by dairy pollution. In doing so, the organization increases public support for the cause, as these waterways are known for their beauty. Safe then goes on to criticize current efforts to reduce the pollution of dairy farming, saying, only 60% of dairy farms properly treat or discharge effluent, even after efforts to limit negative impacts. The organization also states that some dairy pollution is not all from carelessness, but in some cases intentional dumping of cow effluent had occurred. The amount of these cases exceeded 300 charges over a 4-year period. The organization has a bias against dairy farming, as Safe is an animal welfare organization and are currently running campaigns against the dairy industry and the animal welfare issues that are caused by it, such as calf induction. It is no surprise that Safe has a strong point of view regarding dairy farming and the pollution of waterways in an attempt to build a stronger case against the dairy farm industry. The organization has quoted statistics which are against dairy farming and does not talk about current initiatives which are reducing the pollution, to allow the reader to infer that the problem is being ignored, which in fact it has not been. The source does state fact, however it is done in a misleading way. Perspective of New Zealand Fish and Game. Land and water, which comprises the fundamental natural elements of this habitat, is a finite natural resource. It is also the same natural resource that underpins primary industry. Every time land or water is allocated to an activity that diminishes its availability for sports fish or game bird habitat, or degrades, through pollution, that which remains, it reduces the sports fish and game resource that underpins Fish and Game Unregistered Trademark as reason for being. The New Zealand Fish and Game Council. The New Zealand Fish and Game Council have a strong interest in protecting New Zealand waterways so that recreational fishing can still occur in future generations. The organization states that it does not have an anti-dairy perspective but is against dirty dairying. The webpage that the Fish and Game Council have stated their point of view on looks artificially unbiased, however this seems not to be the case. Fish and Game have chosen to exclude current facts. For example, the effectiveness of current pollution-reducing initiatives is not mentioned, only stating that such programs are voluntary, again allowing the reader to infer that not many are dairy farmers participating in such programs, and those who are have an unregistered trademark seen a large improvement. Having laptops in class brings up the issue of browsing the internet, playing games, communicating, or the great many other things that one could do, other than following along with the class instruction. Furthermore, there is a potential for theft and damage to students' property, which could also lead to students arguing and possible physical altercations, all of which impede the progress of learning in the classroom environment. In addition, one should also consider that the traditional method of taking notes by hand and later transferring those notes to a laptop also gives the student the opportunity to go over that information once again. This process helps students commit the information into long-term memory. In conclusion, I believe that the negative aspect of using personal laptops in the classroom environment far outweighs the positive reasons to have them, and thus laptops should not be allowed in the classroom during instruction. Thank you for taking your time to listen to me. I hope you enjoyed learning about Dirty Daring in New Zealand essay as much as I did. Kindly remember that you can get a custom, plagiarism-free essay at All A+ Essays for as little as $10. The link is in the description. See you next time.